Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how I live rent-free and how you can do the same. You see, in order for you to be successful, you need to be able to understand how you could live below your means and also how you can save in a way you can use the amount of money you've made to invest for passive or residual income. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I live rent-free period and use the money I've saved to start and scale my property investment journey. If you really want to learn and understand how I implement this strategy to get me to where I am, I'd advise you to watch the video until the end because it would blow your mind away. June 2016 is a time where I started to understand that working for people will not really get me to where I want to go. I was working for ridiculous long hours. I was in a job where I was undervalued, underappreciated, going nowhere. And I'm looking at my managers, they're doing all this hard work, but it's not really something that drives them. They were doing it because they had lots of responsibilities back home. They have lots of bills to pay. So they're not really there for the job. And I looked at myself, future forecast myself and said to myself in 5 years time, maybe be doing the exactly same thing, because at that point I was doing a professional degree that called CIMA, which is Chartered Accountancy, and for me to become a management accountant. But looking at my managers and the people around me, I realized they are really living it paycheck to paycheck. I start having that epiphany moment at that point. But what really triggers it is one day when I woke up in the morning, I ask myself if I fall ill or I get run by a boss, I've got no income coming in apart from me working, and my company may look after me for about 3 months or so, but after that I'm on my own. So that really triggers me to start looking for alternative investment. I start looking at shares, cryptos, forex. I've tried that as well. It did not really work, but I decided to kind of look into properties, but I was reluctant looking into property because I was told I need 60 to 200,000 pounds to start my investment journey. But one day I bumped into a video where someone told me, you know what, you can start your property investment with little to none of your own money. But I wasn't really sure whether that was the truth. But I looked at that video, repeated it, watched it. I saw this guy walking into different properties, showing so many stuff. And I was at a point at work where I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like the people I was working with. Nobody appreciates what I do, whatever. Well, tiny mistake I make, right, the whole floor would know about it. So I was kind of looking for an alternative thing that would allow me to make money without me working actively, right? So I start looking at that video, this guy talking about acquiring properties, left, right and center, rent-free period, I'm making 400 pounds, I'm making 500 pounds. That really captivated me, right? So basically in this video, I'm gonna share with you how I use these ideas and other ideas to allow me to live rent-free whilst I use the money to enhance my financial situation. So I'm going to show you how I build relationships, how I acquired the properties, and how I was able to multiply those properties to lots of properties, and also how you could do exactly the same. So stick to this video, you will learn all that. Before we get going, if you like my video or any of my videos, smash that like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. So let's get to it. So when I realized about this strategy, because it was too good to be true, I wasn't really confident in doing it. So what I did basically is to learn about it, educate myself. I used to go on Google, start Googling stuff, YouTube. I realized I was wasting time there a little bit. I'd rather go to the source and learn about it. So I learned about it. But the problem I had, I didn't have money. So if you're one of those watching this video right now, this could be a very good video for you. So I didn't have money. So because anything I work, literally it was going to bills, and I have so many debts, credit cards, debt, you name it. So it was going all in there. But I realized I can start with little to none of my own money. But I really was grateful to be in a 12-bedroom shared house. So in that 12-bedroom shared house, a massive house building is in a place called Cathedral Road in Cardiff. If you know Cardiff, it's in an area called Pontcanna. This building is a massive building. So I live in this room. It's a very small room. You've got your single bed, you've got your desk, and you've got your little chair beside you. It's got this grey magnolia all over the property, all over the room. The carpet is wonky and old. I knew I did not want to live in properties like that, but I had to live in there because obviously I was working then. I didn't have anybody to look after me back then. So when I learned about this strategy, so the first thing I decided to do, I was fortunate enough to have access to my landlord. My landlord used to live in the same property as I do. So he happens to be about 3 or 4 rooms away from me. But in that 12 bedrooms, we kind of have 2 sitting rooms. So the landlord liked to sit with his partner in a sitting room. So what I did basically is to start joining them into the sitting room to kind of learn and understand what his investment strategies are and what he does. So I start building relationship with him. I didn't tell him about what I intend to do. I just wanted to learn basically because I was curious what he was doing. He's got these 12 bedrooms and some more properties in the city. I just wanted to learn how he was doing it, but he was doing it the old way basically by saying you need lots of money to start. His mom helped him get what he did, so he's investing with his mom. But yeah, so I was thinking, oh, that's not for me. But when I bumped into this video that tells me I can start with little to none of my own money, I then approached my landlord, my existing landlord, the one I'm living with. Then I told him, listen, bro, if I can get you also a property to rent, right, so we can subsequently rent it out in a room by room basis, would you be able to fund the deal? He was like, that doesn't make sense, Rahim. Right, how can a landlord rent you the house and allow you to sublet it? You're not allowed. It's not even legal. I tried to kind of tell him it's legal. We can form some sort of agreement, and this agreement would allow us to do whatever we want to do in the properties. And I tried to come because I've built that relationship with him, talking to me consistently in the evenings whilst I'm on my laptop looking for stuff, and he kind of get to know me a little bit. So then he goes like one day, because I've nudged him so much about this thing, he said, look, Rahim, you go out there, if you can get a deal, if you can get a landlord, accept what you've just told me, I will put all the money in. Right? I said, okay, brilliant. So it wasn't always easy for me, right? It took me about 7 months to get that property. Viewings upon viewings, lots of headbangs, people saying no to me. And I was at the point where I wanted to give up. It went really, 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 really hard for me. Okay, so it wasn't that easy. But because then I didn't have lots of money and educating myself was a bit expensive for me as well. I kept doing it, but I did not give up. I kept looking. So one day I was so excited. I met this landlord. I told him about what we want to do in the property. He was happy for me to take on that property. Agreed something with that landlord verbally. So look at me running to my landlord now, to my existing landlord. I said, yeah, bro, I've got this property now. He's like, are you sure you got this property? I said, yes, I do. He said, okay, I'm not going to put my money in it until I speak to that landlord to see if he's accept what you've just told me and we do the agreement. I said, brilliant, fine. So I rang the landlord and said, is it okay for me to come with my business partner, which is my existing landlord? He said, fine. He said, fine, no worries, bring them. He said, actually, I'm going to bring my mom as well. So he brought his mom. We sat together, explained to him exactly what we're going to do in the property. He said he's happy with that. And then my landlord then wanted to make things go bitter. He goes like, why are you doing this? And then he goes like, the new landlord then said, the reason I'm doing it is because I'm a biochemist. I'm very, very busy at work. I do not have time to look after this property. I inherited it from my dad. So really, truly, I've never rented the whole property. I said, fine. So he said that's the reason why I want to do it on this rent-to-rent strategy. Then landlord was okay. My landlord was okay. I brought the contract then. We signed the contract. He agreed for us to take on the property. I think he gave us about a couple of weeks or so rent-free period. I'm going to get to you into how I was able to close that deal, how much we are making. But now, let me tell you something. Listen to this. Before I was able to secure these properties, something happened at the background. So what happened in the background was I did few things to change my life. I was in a situation where I was in London, living paycheck to paycheck, okay, surrounding myself with people I don't want to surround myself with. People that are not thinking about investment, people that are not thinking about how to make money. It's all about parties, football clubs, going to nightclubs. You name nightclubs in London. I've been almost to every one of them, okay? If not the one maybe they've just established recently. I've been to all of them. But these are the little changes I did. I start moving away from the people that are not adding value to me. So people are not having the same vision as me. So I accidentally landed in Cardiff because it wasn't my will to be in Cardiff. It happens to be my job moved me here, but I knew I wanted something different. So as I said, if you believe in law of attractions, it happens. So basically, because I'm thinking about that, somehow God made me move out of London. It was an emotional journey for me because I never wanted to leave London, but I left London thinking I've lost all my best friends. and I know they're my best friend, but they're not bringing anything to me. So they were like hanging out with negative people, so to speak. Whenever I want to do something, they always cry it down, say it's not going to work, it is not for your race, it's for different sort of people. So it was a really, really difficult time for me. But when I segregate myself from these people, come to Cardiff, I start surrounding myself with people that want to do what I want to do, right? For example, shares, cryptos, I try all that. I couldn't do it because I know I was gambling my money. But then when I start hanging around with my landlord, speaking to him, he's got the old school way of doing things, but I was still learning, right? But because I've been asking, searching, right? And then I start bumping into all these sort of things, like the video I've just told you about, that the guy was talking about rent to rent. So it started from there, right? And then I start putting time in it, right? Literally, I work sometimes from 8 to 7 at night. I go home, have my dinner, I'm on my laptop until 1 or 2 in the morning. I was doing that consistently, 7 days a week. I don't give up, okay? It wasn't always easy, as I said, but what then start happening, because I'm not surrounding myself, I start getting new friends, and those new friends becomes the friends that are helping me, advising me, talking to me. It puts me on the zone. Here's the thing, if you want to do something, you need to be in that zone. Because once you're in that zone, that's what helps you be able to move and progress, okay? So yeah, so let me now take you back to the deal. So we've agreed on the deal. I speak to my landlord. Then the landlord said he's happy to fund it. He's funded the deal. We got 2 weeks rent-free period. It was a 7-bedroom house. So what we did in the 7-bedroom house, it was 7-bedroom house, 2 reception and another room. So what we did, basically, we contacted the council to find out if we were allowed to rent the 2 reception rooms and the other room upstairs. And then the council said it was good. So they will extend the HMO license. So they extend the number of people. So we've converted that property from a 7-bed to a 9-bedroom HMO. So and if you know Cardiff, it's just opposite the Principality Stadium. So what we did, we rent that property out. Right, within 3 weeks, we rented it out, right? It's all rented, okay? So what I did at that point is to invest in me and my education, right? Because I knew I had lots of headbanks. I need to learn about these headbanks. So I realized going on Google, YouTube is wasting my time. Sometimes it takes me about 2 hours to look for information. And when I got information, there's so many gaps in the information. So I realized I needed to educate myself. So obviously I educated myself, and then because I'm getting into this thing, I'm getting used to that, because that property alone, that first property deal was generating me about £1,950 for me and my partner, now my landlord. So it was a good return on our investment. Literally, it was a good return. So it was good. Okay, so once we start making money from that property, I now know I'm living with my current landlord. So what I did at that point, I was paying, I think, about $380 for that room where I was living in with my landlord. So I spoke to my landlord, now my business partner. I said, look, I love your house so much, and how about if I can move to our house, which means the 9-bedroom we've secured, okay? I thought I'm gonna live in there basically without paying any rent, okay? That's my intention. And the landlord said, yeah, Rahim, of course you can move there as long as I can get my same share of profit. Meaning is 1,950, his 50% of that will not change, right? He needs his money, he's worked with me, that's how it's gonna work. So I said, okay. And then he said, I'll have to rent the room where I am in order to move to the other room. And he needs to get the same rent. So what I did at that point, I said, okay, that's fine, write this down. You need to do the same thing if you are gonna be living, if you want to be doing this. So what I did is I said, okay, that's fine. I'm happy for you to get the same rent. You may be thinking, how? So what I did basically, because I was new at that point, we don't have long-term tenancy agreement. It was like 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, because I did not know what I was doing. I was just getting this, I just wanted people in. So what I did with the 9-bedroom houses, is to work out what the rental income was, which we already knew, right? And we realized also I was undercharging for the bigger rooms. If you know these houses, they are Victorian houses, the rooms are massive, okay? So what I did at that point then is to work out the £380 I'm paying to my landlord, right? What I did was I divide that to the number of rooms we have in that property, right? So and then I increased the rent in all the other bedrooms within the property itself. Right? So if we were renting a property, say for about £400, I increased to about £430 or £450 to take in the expenses I would have paid to live in that house. So I divide all the cost, increase the rent in all the bedrooms, which in essence gets us to make more money. And then I moved into that room rent-free, bill-free. I don't pay anything in the property. And the beauty of it, I manage the property whilst I'm in the property. Basically, the property looks nice, immaculate, and my business partner then was really, really chuffed about it, okay? But I had some hiccups because the hiccups I had was basically, you need to work this really, really nice, is to work out how long your tenancies are with your existing tenant, right? So what I did basically, I knew they're all on a short term. Like whoever is coming in, I'm increasing the rent. I increase the rent gradually until it covers all the expenses in one room. And that room then, I gave that room a notice. That guy moved out, and then I moved into that room, and I end up staying there rent-free. Now, here's the thing. When I moved there as a rent-free period, all the salary, all the income I was making from work, literally, I've got nothing to do with it, apart from buying food, right? Electricity, gas, all that was absolutely free. So what I did then at that point is to use my salary, my income, and put it aside. So I wasn't spending anything apart from food, right? Any problems comes from anywhere, I literally said, listen, I haven't got money. So I store that money, I keep storing the money. Imagine living rent-free, bill-free, everything's absolutely free apart from your food. It was a very, very good situation to be in. So little by little, I was able to save lots of money. And again, I've got that money, I've got my landlord still working with me. We went on get the second property, right? Went on got the third property, went on got the fourth property, because at that point I've got no expenses, right? So I was just storing the money and then investing, reinvesting, okay? So the money I've made from that, I do use it for two things. Obviously, one for investing in buying more properties and investing in me. So now you may be thinking, Rahim, I wasn't lucky enough to live in a shared house. I wasn't lucky enough to live with my landlord. I'm not really living with my landlord. What are your alternatives? That's what you're thinking. Here's the thing. Your alternative would be, if you're renting right now, right? Speak to your landlord. Right? You only speak to your landlord if you know you're paying your rent every single month, okay? If you're not paying your rent, maybe you're gonna pay rent for about 2-3 months before you approach your existing landlord. So what you could do, you can speak to your existing landlord if you're not living with them. If you are first, if you're in a HMO house, right, find out who the landlord is, right? Especially if the rooms are not renting all the time. If the landlord is struggling, speak to them. Say, listen, I know you've got this property. You're struggling a little bit in renting to rent this property. How about if I can take it on a guaranteed rent basis? You don't have to worry about managing the property. I will take everything away from you, right? I've got an investor who was able to secure his HMO property that way, okay? So if you are renting a normal house, for example, suppose you're renting a normal, because most of you may be renting a normal house with your family. So if that's the case, have you tried to contact the landlord? You may be thinking, oh, I'm dealing with an agent. I understand that. If you're dealing with an agent, you've got the right to know who the owner is, okay? You've got the right to ask the agent to advise you who the owner is, and the agent would advise you and speak to the owner directly. Say, listen, I've been paying rent in your property. Your property looks amazing, and I've got an opportunity where I'm looking for more houses. Okay, do you know anybody who has a house, or who's looking to rent houses? Or tell him about what I've told my landlord, for example, right? I'm into property, I'm doing XYZ. Would you be able to partner with me to do XYZ? You may be thinking these people are people that you shouldn't be talking to. They are people that you should be talking to. If anything, these are the people you should be talking to. Okay, so see, as a HMO, speak to a landlord. If he doesn't live with you, ask the agent. If you rent to him directly, it's an amazing opportunity that you literally know aware about. Okay, make sure you're paying your rent. Second thing, if you're renting a house or a flat, speak to the agent. If you're went through agent, and then see if you can get the landlord. If you've got the landlord, explain to the landlord. Say, listen, I'm interested in renting this house. I'm in here for a few years now, or a couple of months. I'm looking for more houses. I've got XYZ going. Would you be able for me to take them? Or I'm doing this, I would like someone to partner with me. So here's the thing. If you provide an opportunities for the landlord, right, and you know it is beneficial to you, they may not accept it straight away, but they will listen and hear it. And when the opportunity comes, they would want to work with you, because that's what I did with my landlord. He literally reluctantly said yes to me, right? And then guess what? When the opportunity comes, I approached him and he was willing to invest. But I don't want you to like just tell him once or her once and you never spoke to them again. Constantly reminding them help, even if you haven't got any deal, right? Just talk to them. Yeah, if you see something about property online, send it to them. If you see anything to do with legislation changes or any sort of issues around the property, tell him, say, listen, if you want your guy to come around, let me know, I'm happy to be here. Add value in essence, add value to them. So once they know you are really serious and you want to add value and you're kind of a nice person, trust me, they would want to work with you. So this is how I was able to live in a house rent-free, bill-free, nothing free. The only thing I paid for was for the food I ate, and I used that money to be able to get my first property, second property, and now to be able to build a multi-million-pound property portfolio. You gotta start somewhere in order to get somewhere. So I really hope this video has been helpful. If this video has been helpful, smash that like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing tutorials. I look forward to sharing the next video.